So, welcome to another show of the Ubrick Show, and we're going to dive deep into B2B. And Ashwin, again, welcome another time. Yeah, how are you, Ashwin, today?
Thanks, Monash. All good. All fabulous. Everything's going super happy.
Good.
What about you?
Good. We're recording episodes back to back, but it just feels that,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
But yeah, the interesting part is we're diving deep into B2B.
Yeah.
So, what is our topic today?
Yeah. So, I think today's point of discussion is to elaborate on what does your marketing strategy look like in this I'd like to call it an emerging post-pandemic environment. Yeah. So that's the topic of discussion. But before we jump into that, I think it's important to quickly recap on where we were with the last episode. So would you like to go for it?
Sure. I mean, what we've clearly understood that there are a couple of key fundamental points that we had to take away. Yeah. And we're going to mention that here. So number one is the buying behavior of buyers have completely changed. Yeah. And the stat that we found astounding is only 17% of the time that they spend with potential suppliers, multiple suppliers, when they want to make a decision. The rest of the time, they're either meeting with their buying groups, that is multiple stakeholders making the decision, or they're doing independent research. It could be online, could be offline, but they're doing research. So understanding that is first fundamental. Go for the second one.
Absolutely. To add to that, there's also a lot of the multiple stakeholders with the entire problem, with the entire buying journey. Yeah. So you have multiple stakeholders with different buying environments, their own buying group with their own problems, trying to look out for suppliers out there in the market. So one, we talk about their ability shifting to online. I mean, that's a pretty evident shift. And the other thing in parallel is a lot of stakeholders getting involved in the decision-making process. Now, with this, I think we sort of, in the last episode, we also took a dig at trying to understand what the solution could look like. And we started off by discussing going back to the fundamentals, which is looking at the overall buying journey and the ability to understand that this isn't, the journey isn't really linear. It's a complex journey, and buyers have jobs where they have to fulfill needs across each stage of their buying behavior. And thus, we discussed buyer enablement, which is a problem of trying to understand, or which is a process of trying to understand what the buyer is looking to accomplish at each stage in this journey, which is the what, and trying to build a solution, which is the how, to be able to solve to the buyer's needs and demands at each stage. Yeah, that was what we discussed in the previous episode. Now, Monash, how does this episode look like for us?
So this episode, we've understood that there's a fundamental shift in the buying behavior, which means what worked for us 5 years back is not going to work in the coming few years. Yeah, and this is where having a robust marketing strategy that is built on these fundamentals are very important. So today it's about some practical steps of how anybody who's watching this episode can actually build a strong marketing strategy. Yeah. And Ashwin, you've done multiple strategies for multiple B2B clients as of now. Yeah. What is there a pattern that you've seen? Is there a formula that you've seen really cracking the game?
Good question. I think where I fundamentally start with is trying to understand the business better and what the business goals are. Now, when I try to dig into the business goals, I always like to see business goals in a much larger landscape, which is what are you trying to accomplish 2 years from now? Now, why is that question fundamentally important is because as a leader in your organization, it's very important to not just think of a tactical approach in terms of feeding your belly for the next quarter, but it's also important to understand what you need to be doing in your second quarter of or the first quarter of 2022 for you to accomplish your 2023 or 2024 goals. Yeah.
And when you talk about these business goals, you're looking at the company revenue or the potential revenue you want to reach.
Yeah.
You're looking at the different markets you want to expand to.
Absolutely.
And also probably what products or what services is the most profitable and which you want to scale.
Yeah.
Is that your understanding, or do you add more elements into it?
It's also trying to understand what's your average revenue per product, how is it varying across each product portfolio or across your categories, which customer segments are likely have the highest likelihood of a purchase decision across each of the product or the category lines. Not just that, also going a little bit deeper into the competition. Trying to understand who your competitors are and what is their secret sauce. Now, what are these competitors? How are these competitors trying to discuss the same messaging, the same problems across your buyers? Because that's potentially your buyers, why your competition is investing time to reach out to the same audience. So it's important to understand what they're trying to do. How are they trying to leverage multiple channels? Now again, multiple channels become a very important question because we always look at strategy as an omnichannel approach. We don't look at it as a single channel or a single medium point of perspective, because what that results in is more of very tactical way of solving a problem by saying, okay, we don't have leads today in our organization, so we're going to build Google advertisements. Versus looking at, okay, we don't have leads today. We're not going to have leads in the next 6 months from now as well. So Google Ads is a tactical solution that's going to give you your results today. But what's going to give you your leads 6 months from now, 1 year from now? What do you need to do on your website? How do you improve your search infrastructure? What kind of SEO you need to do? And in terms of us discussing problem identification and discussing value-based content at the early stage in their journey. So like you recommended earlier, a bunch of leadership content, white papers, ebooks. Now that's exactly why, again, sort of trickling down the 2-year goal. Talking about what will give you results today.
I understand. So the first thing is to set that goal. So to think strategy, to put a marketing strategy together, the first step is to set that business goal and not go tactical, like you said, lead generation and these things. But
absolutely.
You can definitely talk about that, but the first thing is to understand as a business, what is your vision? So we're good with step number 1. That's setting a goal.
Gotcha.
And then you also touched about competitive analysis. Like who are the other people playing in that same playing field? Who are your competition? What are they doing? Because they have similar problems. Can you also elaborate and for people to take something practical out of it?
Sure.
When you talk about competitive analysis, how do you go about doing it? I mean, do you take your direct, indirect? I mean, how do you go about it?
Cool. Sounds good. So the first thing that I do is try to ask the business who your competitors are. And especially the sales guys, because they're the one who's spending the footprint out there, the foot soldiers there who are spending time trying to discuss with brands and then ultimately discuss the fact that they're talking to multiple other prospects, multiple other brands, just like how they're talking to you. So the first step is try to understand who your competitors are, and what you've chosen as competitors really makes sense. Some of the brands say, we have no competitors.
This is what I wanted to get to.
Which is killing, because like if I'm driving down the road and I wanna pick up a juice, I would probably stop at McDonald's, or I would also stop at Starbucks. So the competitors of Starbucks are not just other coffee shops, but it's also something like a McDonald's. Or I could stop at a supermarket and pick up a cola can. So it's you gotta look at a big picture here and try to solve the problem of, okay, someone's thirsty.
Brilliant.
That's the problem.
Brilliant.
The problem is the competition is not coffee shops, but how do I quench his thirst? That's the problem.
So, as a business, what we have to take away is your competition is not directly who sells exactly the same specification of your product, but from a consumer perspective, who else can quench that thirst? I mean, what are the alternatives I go towards solving that same problem, which is, in this case, example is thirst, which is brilliant, which suddenly widens the horizon.
Exactly.
Because according to your lens, yes, you don't have an exact competition, but is that the same case for my consumers?
Exactly.
Yeah? So brilliant. So identifying that the competition is fundamental step number 2. What else do you go? I mean, do you just keep looking in the market? Do you look at other markets?
Yeah. So when we do this competitive analysis, I think it's important to understand 2 different perspectives. One is, what is my competition doing locally out here in this market, in this region? Because it gives you a like to like comparison, sort of apples and apples. But it's also important to understand how an established leader in the market has positioned themselves globally. Because that opens up to a journey that a global leader has taken in terms of solving the same problem that you have for your buyers. So you're able to benchmark against, okay, now what should I do today? That's local. What should I be with the global benchmark or the results in place? What does it take for me to achieve the level of outcomes that my global competitions have achieved? And that's when you widen your horizon, like you mentioned earlier, which is trying to understand a larger perspective to the problem.
To give an example is, say, going back to the coffee shop thirst example, look at other players. For example, the Indian market, the Brazil market. This could be very far away, yeah. The US market, but has a business. In your case, it's going to be a B2B business, yeah. But they are playing in similar playing fields. What are a couple of tactics that you can actually visually see that has actually worked to their favor? So, which you can actually bring it in.
Absolutely.
So these are not your competitors as such in the local market. They are not taking away your market share, but they're solving the same problem for the buyer in other markets.
Absolutely. One such example was one of our manufacturing clients that we're working with. We realized that they were leveraging chatbots in the Australian market. They were leveraging chatbots for conversion as a problem. Which is, okay, there are a lot of people coming to my website today. How can I engage with them better so that their ability to convert is a lot higher? Now, of course, you can put a couple of resources and put them to actually chat, leveraging the platforms that you have. But it's also to build a bot that has the capability to do this at scale. And I realized I suggested this to the client, and the client was very not so certain about that end goal in that quarter, but they implemented it across 4 quarters from there by the end of the year. And then they realized that from the website, that the number of leads increased by almost 30% by introducing chatbot as a solution to people who are trying to look out for the problem on the website.
And from a buyer perspective, it's very satisfying that if I want to look for a solution, I don't have to jump through hoops. I could be a return customer who's asking for spare parts, or my equipment has failed and I've come to the website to figure out I want a service agent to come to my factory very, very quickly.
Exactly. Customer service is a problem.
Or you know what? I want to expand my solution and I want, say, this manufacturing equipment in, and I want an RFP and the buying process.
Absolutely.
So in terms of delight, in terms of making sure that the buyers are taken care of, I think chatbot was an amazing example. And how was the result about that?
Yeah, like I mentioned, almost 20 to 30% improvement in the leads outcome from the website. This is a new channel that is delivering them more leads that can quench their thirst compared to the leads that was available 6 months from now from the website. Yeah. So that's by leveraging a channel for you to be able to scale. And there was a competition that was doing really well. Yeah. So when you look at competition, it's important to understand from multiple perspectives. Now, one perspective is looking at a global player versus multiple local. The other element that, to dive a little bit down further, it's also trying to understand what is their messaging across social media, across their website, across their advertisement channels, for example, Google search. Yeah, that's one perspective. In parallel, it's also important to look at their website, what the website is communicating out there. Yeah, so you're not just hidden in this sphere where you're trying to understand, okay, this is what competition is doing, but was this really trying to understand the outcome from the competitors and how is that being played out in the market? So that you're able to see, for example, if you're able to understand how much money they're spending on Google ads across one region versus the other, it's going to be very powerful information, because you know that market is reacting to be able to deliver the ROI on that money that's being spent on Google ads.
Brilliant. And today, the thing is, there's a lot of data available. Yeah. And I keep seeing that you guys are using things like Ahrefs or SEMrush. These are different tools, and I'm sure there are multiple tools where you can actually monitor this across competition. Yeah. So you just don't look at the website ads, you look at the messaging, you look at multiple channels and how are they using them.
Absolutely. Which lets us into organic as a problem. Search is a very big problem. Everybody's investing on content to scale their traffic on Google search so that they can get more clicks to the website. Now, you need to understand, it's not just to be able to say, okay, organically, this competition is better than mine. That's one way of looking at a problem. But trying to dig deeper to understand what are the content materials that is bringing the competition the highest traffic. What is helping them rank? What are the keywords that they are leveraging, or search terms that they are leveraging to be able to identify people across multiple buying jobs so that they're able to cater to that solution? That is what we try to understand in the competitive analysis. So it's not just to say, this is my competition, that's my traffic, but what is their tactic that is resulting in the ROI for what activity that they're trying to do.
Yeah. In short, what's working for them?
What's working for them? Thank you. In short, what's working for them? So what you really do is try to understand the critical activities that they're doing. Any activity involves money.
True.
You have to have your stakeholders do it, or you have to hire resources to do it, or you'll have to pay a platform to get your ROI up and running.
And there's also this opportunity cost. If you're doing this, you're not doing something else.
Exactly. That's even bigger. Because when you decide to solve for social media as a problem, you could let go of another big chunk that's
could be
maybe
SMS marketing.
Could be maybe not is giving you money, but is actually driving results out there as well. And this is where I think what leads to is okay, now you spend time understanding your competition. You spend time understanding what works for them, what doesn't, in terms of the not just their whole channel or approach perspective, but also the activity perspective. So now that helps us with information that we can leverage to say, okay, if we are probably taking this route, will this work for that? That's the question that everybody asks, right? Why should I build a chatbot? Why should I get into webinars? Why should I do an ebook? Why should I build blogs?
So you basically show what's working in another market and for another person,
Exactly.
and have some inferences and go ahead.
No brainer.
And this brings us to the next point, which is thinking long term and thinking omni-channel. So we've
Gotcha.
mentioned omni-channel and long term, and recently we looked at a couple of reports, and we found a really nice report from HubSpot, where they had 2,500 different marketeers being interviewed or probably surveyed, and we got the results. And we see that in terms of priority, now for the next 12 months, lead generation is high priority for a marketeer, followed by increasing customer satisfaction, increasing brand awareness, closing more deals, increasing customer retention. This is the order of their priority.
Great. If we can dive in depth into each of these priorities, I think it'll help us with a crystal clear approach of sorts to what we're trying to do today. So you look at generating more leads. I like the way it says generating more leads and not generating leads. But if I have to generate leads today, I need to be doing something. If I have to generate leads 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now, I need to be doing something extremely different. Let's take what we're trying to do today. You can invest money in advertisements on Google search. But what we're doing today, which is a lot of leadership and brand activation sort of an element, will drive results, not immediate, but 6 months from now, 12 months from now. So it's very, very important that you identify. That's why the omni-channel is a keyword. It's sort of this thing where you identify elements that will help you win the short term, which is your short term wins. And you also look at your long term perspectives, and then you identify elements of your strategy will help feed the long term. That's why being extremely active on social media helps.
And this is that graph that you actually see on the screen now, which actually shows the different channel and the different priority. And I think it's for the first time actually social media has overtaken a website. And you can actually see how relevant trade shows are. And again, this is an international survey. I'm sure regionally things would differ, but these are the different channels available. So when you think about omni-channel, think about social media, website, email marketing, content, paid, search, advertising, events, Facebook Messenger, chatbots.
What's very evident here is that your offline channels have taken a backseat. Your events and your trade shows have taken a backseat versus focusing on the online presence and scaling your online presence. A lot more marketers are willing to spend their bucks with trying to focus on online, looking to scale their online marketing by focusing on activities like, let's start with social media. It's not just being active on social media. That's what I hear from a lot of people. They just say, we have a channel and we want to keep it active. It's not just being active. The moment you start creating content that will help your audience take decisions or help refine their problem better, you're going to get more engagement on social media. You're going to have a lot more followers on your handle trying to have more conversations with you. And focusing on website as a problem. We spoke about search, we spoke about content, we spoke about blogs, white papers. So it's not just enough if you have a website out there, but what does it take for you to build relevant content? Look at the conversion rate on your website to see how people are consuming this piece of content and being able to take a decision on. Not just enough you have a website. What's your conversion rate on the website? What tools are you using to understand your conversion rate? Do you have Hotjar? Do you understand visitor analysis? Do you understand the behavior on your website? Why does somebody come to your website today? Why do they leave your website without having to take a decision or not take a decision?
Interesting.
So that's the whole website perspective of trying to solve the problem. We're trying to understand whether your website works and what does it take for it to work. Are they not spending time? What do they require to spend more time? Are you addressing problems? It's not about your product features, but it's about problems that will help your customers and educate them about their solution better. Yeah. Now, of course, we know advertisements is a very important channel. Clearly, marketers are spending money on advertisements across Google search, across social media. And I think advertisement in this perspective of, again, two types of ads plethora. One is trying to look at your current needs, with is lead generation is a problem. Second is, like you mentioned earlier, brand awareness. You spoke about brand awareness. You said that it was a very, very important priority. So the videos that you produce is not just enough if you have it out there and reach to your social audience. You have to scale that video a lot further, which means put money there, reach out to your personas, either on YouTube or on LinkedIn or on Facebook, Instagram. So it's this famous saying, right? You only spend 10% of your time creating a piece of content, but you spend 90% of your time distributing that piece of content.
Brilliant. And this is where that omni-channel again rings a bell.
Exactly.
So is those distribution channels that you need to build, where you have some primary content or your types of content, and then you distribute it. Amazing. So we have this covered now, and we also see a lot of emerging tech that is actually coming into picture when you think about strategy.
Absolutely.
So what are those tech that is kind of a must-have kind of situation now?
A lot of businesses out there already have CRMs available. Yeah, they have.
In fact, they have their own definition for CRM.
And that's nothing altogether. But as long as you have a place where you have customer data prospective and customer data.
So usually when you talk about CRM, people think about customers. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
true.
When we're looking at prospects, we're looking at future customers.
Yeah.
So ideally having a system where you have your prospects, which is going to be the biggest chunk.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you have your customers where you can definitely upsell, cross-sell to them, give them a better experience.
Improve your lifetime value.
This is important. So ideally you need to have a CRM system which has both.
Yeah, true. So it's not just having a CRM system, but leveraging the CRM system. Yeah, it's trying to understand how you can figure out what your buying pattern is. How does your buyer's behavior look like before they take a decision to purchase? What that helps is, if you're able to identify a pattern, you can take that pattern and scale across your future prospects. So it's important to understand multiple engagement points. So your CRM acts like a one big system that connects with your email marketing, your SMS, your events, your advertisements, your social media, so that your website, of course, and you understand what are the multiple touch points of your prospective buyers. And you also understand how salespeople have created an impact, and identifying these engagement points and trying to scale with these engagement points is what is very, very... You have this information with you. You just need to be able to identify a pattern and to scale using that pattern.
So all this data collected can be actually used to your advantage. Yeah, and
absolutely.
And having a system in place where this data collection can be done and pattern recognition can be done. So basically, if you have analyze your past 6 months customers and see what are the kind of conversation they're having, what are the ebooks they're downloading, what are the webinars they're watching, what are the pages on the website they are visiting the most,
how many pages are they visiting, what pages are they spending the most time on,
and then improve them, make them better, so that you will have more prospects visit them. And in fact,
absolutely,
in your email marketing, include these pages so that this is found value for our existing customers, and I'm sure the future customers is also going to find value.
That's exactly the next topic that I want to discuss, which is automation. Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to be able to understand the buying behavior and build automation within your marketing and sales process, so that it's a very simple mechanism called lead scoring. We're able to understand at any point of time what is the score of your lead and has it reached a threshold where he's likely to convert, so that you're able to nudge this lead towards that conversion element. By involving marketing activities, sales activities, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, if you know that this lead score means this sales guy will convert, that is what will build you, leveraging that pattern to be able to build automation into the system for you to be able to scale your lead score number.
So a practical thing how it can roll out for a business is when a prospect, because of his various activity, it could be he responding to email, opening emails, coming to our social media, coming to the website, he gets points. These are points that are accumulated. When it reaches a threshold, we know this guy or this person has actually had multiple touch points and he's very engaged with your brand. The system can actually alert one of your top sales guys. Now is the right time to give him a call.
Exactly.
So I think this is the practical implication of this.
Exactly. And to drive in this route, again, talking about automation, all of that, I think chatbots as a system, it's only been implemented by about 40% of the marketers out there. It's a very, very large group who haven't yet put their footprint into chatbots and trying to experiment chatbot as a solution for them. Like we mentioned, not just at customer service, but also for your prospective buyers. So I think that is a very, very scalable channel. You can start by building a live chat, something really small, and then slowly grow by understanding how people are engaging with your chatbot. What are the questions that they're asking? Simple. You put a bot out there, people are going to ask questions.
I mean, if somebody wants to start this today after listening to this, are there some names that you want to throw out? Which is you worked with multiple chatbot softwares,
Absolutely. There's live chat, there's HubSpot chat, there's Zoho Sales IQ. There are a lot of platforms. There's
many chat.
There's many chatbot.com. There are all of the options that are available. The software is not a focus, but the focus is the problem. If you're able to solve the problem really well, a software is just a mechanism to deliver.
And an example which I keep using and seem to be working is call your person, the person who picks up your landline call. The person who picks up the call, have a conversation with that person and ask them what are the frequently asked questions. Is there a pattern? Based on that, or talk to the entry point on your sales and ask them what are the questions they receive. Is there a pattern? And is there a dialogue that they keep repeating? So ask them, things like, what, depending on what the thing you're solving, there are these questions. These could be that first seeding questions that you can have used on a chatbot.
Perfecto. Bang on. You know the questions, you got to put the answers there and then put that in an automation layout so that there's one step after the other, and then there is a lot of if and else condition, which means that if this, else that sort of a drill. And I think you'll be able to build out one in like a couple of weeks' time, and you'll have data that's already driving you to see whether that's working or how can you scale it. How do you improve it? So that's chatbot as a solution. Now the other is, of course, we've discussed this plenty of time, which is B2B E-commerce. Now the B2C buyer is on Amazon, is on Noon, is on Namshi. All of these platforms getting equipped with ease of purchase.
Basically taking control, knowing more information. So who are these B2B buyers? It's me and you.
Exactly.
It's normal people. For their grocery, they're actually using these apps today. They're buying their apparels, their clothes. They're using these things, which means, an example which I keep giving again in a couple of conversations is, once you've got exposed to power steering in a car, it's almost impossible or so astronomically difficult to drive a car without power steering. But for the probably power steering has been around only for the last 30 years, and because before that people were just using normal steering, but it's always hard to go back because of conditioning. So similar experience is what B2B buyers, these people, end of the day, are actually experiencing in buying their groceries.
Yes.
So they expect, by clicking on an image of a very expensive, I don't know, air compressor or a valve or a machinery, to look at, what, these are the specifications. This is the comparable models.
That's exactly what and a very similar a manufacturing company did in the US, where they built an e-commerce experience for a manufacturing problem. Can you believe that you're almost taking a decision to buy a $500,000 product online? Yeah, they're giving you the delight experience by giving you the capabilities that requires to make that decision.
And the step is not about swiping a credit card and buying that machine, but it's about, I can see all the specifications, I can see all the different add-ons or options, and I can simply, after seeing all this stuff, I don't have to now pick up the call and start the zero conversation with a salesperson or somebody in the reception. You know what, I was on your website, I checked this out, I like this one. No, I can simply add that into a cart, and I can click another button where I send an inquiry with exactly what I need. So it's
exactly,
what do you call it? Add to inquiry?
Yes. So this is exactly like how, like you mentioned, you can compare and all of that, right? So the final step of decision making, and you just need to, like you mentioned, add an inquiry, and all of this information is given to the sales guy. So he's looking at what you've done on the website, he's looking at what you've done within the e-commerce platform, he's looking at what you want and what you're trying to compare. So his ability to give you the final nudge to make that decision is a lot stronger.
And very less frustrating
for the buyer as well,
because he's already running at a pace, and the salesman is coming and is complimenting, and it's helping him close it, and not the other way around.
100%. I think e-commerce is B2B e-commerce is a definite direction, the way the industry is also headed. And I think in parallel, what's also happening in the industry is with account-based marketing, where it's a process where you identify key accounts or key clients that you want to, that would become your customers, and then you start identifying the decision-making authorities within your key clients, within your key customers, prospective customers that you want to target, and you build personalized marketing messages just to reach out to the key buyers. And this is sort of a one-to-one and a one-to-many activity where your marketing and sales are very, very close-knit, not in silos, identifying these key accounts, pushing marketing messages to them, having relevant conversations based on what they've interacted with, and trying to help that decision maker move in his purchase journey.
No, it's very relevant, because when it's B2B, your target market is not 2 to 3 million people. In a country, it might be just 1,500 people.
Absolutely.
And the thing about account-based marketing is to figure out how can you not waste your efforts, your marketing dollars, your time and energy, and how do you make relevant, personalized conversation with these 1,500 people.
And this personalization is brilliant. For example, if you come to your website, you can even change the logo of course, your brand's logo, but say, hello, website visitor from this place, I'm sure you're interested in a product like this. Because now it's all personalized, it's all focused. There are a lot of tools that will help you do this. Terminus is one such example, where you can create your own personalized version of your landing page, targeted to the prospective client based on where he's coming from. Which is fantastic.
And we
use of technology.
And we talked about this buying groups, and I'm sure we're bringing this back, because whichever organization that you say, it's a Fortune 500 organization that you're trying to sell to, but there's always this buying group. There might be these 20 to 15 individuals who you have to focus on. That's all.
Absolutely.
And this is that buying group where you want to personalize things for.
Absolutely.
And the link that you send to that Fortune 500 company is a customized one. They come in, they see their competition or
Oh,
their
yes.
similar brands as examples. They see that particular, imagine it's an oil field company. Yeah, you see case studies of oil field companies that you've done. So you give them a much more personalized experience.
True. And it works like magic.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think we've spoken about we've spoken about the importance of competitive analysis here. And I also remember you said it's not just a one-time activity. Competitive analysis is something that's recurring. Quarter on quarter, you have a system where you try to understand what your competition is doing out there in the market and feed that information into your informed strategy. Talking about strategy, we spoke about an omnichannel approach, where we said, don't be tactical thinking about what you just want to achieve today. Think about long term, think about 2 years from now, and then draw back to what you need to be able to do to achieve your KPIs for the next 2 years. Beyond this, we also discussed a lot of emerging ideas, a lot of emerging technologies. We spoke about the use of chatbot, the leveraging ABM. We discussed automation, buyer's journey, lead scoring. A lot of this is very, very critical. Think about these like your quarterly activities, your quarterly innovation in marketing and sales. Take one innovation and try to implement that, especially in a very, very agile methodology, so that you're able to reflect on what the outcome is and quickly decide whether you want to scale this, drop it, or move ahead with another innovation tool for your next quarter. Yeah, be agile in marketing and sales when you're solving these problems. So that's what my perspective is.
And I think this is brilliant from thinking from an emerging post-pandemic era where changes happening and it's inevitable. So our marketing strategy should be in line. Ashwin, thanks a lot for this time, and thank you guys for watching this. And if you've liked, make sure that you tell us that what you're liking, so that we can do more of that. And if you find something which you can add upon, we would love to hear from you. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Cheers guys. Take care. Bye.